All right, here he comes. The man coming from the side here. Jumping in.
Whoa.
All right, Sheriff.
I got the setup.
Yeah, I got the setup.
All right, cool.
All right, so we are, give you the rundown of the car here a little bit. We're live already. I've got your boss currently in the car.
He can't park here.
We'll give him a pass.
Leave it to the motor unit
Yeah,
to give
exactly.
the trooper a hard time. With the sheriff in the car. So guys, we're live here. So Sheriff, welcome to Results 1.
Thanks for
joining me. I appreciate you. I've been trying to get you in this thing since go. You're a busy man. And so give you a layout of the land. We've got a camera there, camera here, camera there, forward facing, rear facing, and I've got two out on the side.
Oh, nice.
So when you were walking out, they saw you kind of walking out and stuff. Pretty amazing piece of equipment. It was funny when I got it. Everyone at work was like, "You sure you're gonna be able to? Have you seen inside of a cop car?
That's
like,
right.
Are you kidding me right now?" So we'll keep it close. I know you're a busy man. We won't go far. Get you back here in time.
Awesome.
Again, thanks. I appreciate you joining me. If you don't mind, a little bit. I know who you are. Everyone knows who you are, but there might be someone watching a little bit right now. So if you don't mind introducing yourself.
All right. I'm Sheriff John Mina. You're sheriff here in Orange County.
Awesome. So, Sheriff, day-to-day ops. We're out here to talk about, obviously, you have a pretty cool contest coming up, the Sheriff for a Day essay. But before I wanted to dive into that, I kind of wanted to get into the concept of why someone would even want to apply for something like that. And I think when people think the sheriff, they think, okay, the top cop of the county, which you are. That's it. But there's so much more that comes into the daily operation. It's like you're an administrator, you're operating a business and operating a full-fledged law enforcement agency, and putting those two together. You were a chief, I know that, but that's got to be a different beast than being one rank lower than where you're at right now. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, being an elected sheriff, everything falls on the sheriff. It's my responsibility to keep this community safe, to make sure that we're doing the best for our citizens here. And one of the reasons we do this Sheriff for a Day essay with our youth is to kind of give them an inside look. So most kids, even some adults, they look at law enforcement as maybe doing traffic stops or responding to calls for service.
Right.
But they don't know everything that we do. They don't know all the different things we do for our community, both to prevent crime, deter crime, arrest criminals, but also engage with our community to build trust.
Right. Just so much. And I look at it, we've got all these different constitutional positions, and you then look at the sheriff's spot, and it has everything that they're supposed to do, plus, 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 plus. And in some people's eyes, that's a little overwhelming. What's an easy day for Sheriff Mina in Orange? And I know that, look, being a trooper in the cop world, I get it. But at the same time, what is your good day when you come to work? Like, what's your routine look like?
So an easy day for me would be when there's not a whole lot of things on the schedule, and I get to go out and visit my homicide detectives, or I get to go ride in the helicopter, or I get to go talk to our mounted deputies, or many times what I'll do is I'll just call on the radio for a deputy to come pick me up, and I'll sit here in the passenger seat with the deputy, and I'll say, just go. And they're like, well, where do you want to go? I'm like, just do what you normally do, and I'm your backup. So it's real, and then that way I get to talk one-on-one with the deputy without all the layers in there, and find out, do you have everything you need, on the streets, and actually see it for myself firsthand.
Do they get ever nervous when you randomly call a zone unit to be like, what's your ID number? 1? Do you use
Unit
1?
one.
Unit 1. It's like, Unit 1, Orange County, send me a unit. And they're like, oh, crap, kind of thing.
Yeah, so usually what happens, the sergeants or the watch
pre-selected?
commander will say, hey, is there something I can do for you, Sheriff? And
Right.
I'll say, no, I just want to ride with a deputy. And they're like, okay, I'll send someone right over. So it's pretty fun.
That's, I'm sure, for you, for me, I completely removed from the law enforcement world. You're embedded in it. But at the same time, the road operations, patrol is the backbone. It's what we see, and I'm sure it's what I know keeps me excited. So to fill your glass up every now and then, I'm sure you need that.
Yeah, it's good for me to get out and put myself back in their shoes. It's been a long time since I've been on the road as a lone officer by myself. So it gives me the opportunity to hear directly from them, to see what they're seeing firsthand out on the streets in their neighborhoods, and really to see if my philosophy is working out on the streets. And I've been overwhelmed with the deputies. They get it. They get that, we're going to reduce and prevent crime, but it's not all about arresting the bad guy. They know that I want them engaging with our community.
It's cool to hear, like, you're like, all right, I'm going to put these policies in place, but I need to see if, one, it's effective. Is it good for the deputies? Is it good for the community? So to kind of go back out in there. So last year, if you could tell me a little bit about last year's contest, because that high school student was so excited in every photo and raved about it afterwards. We got to talk with him after that. A little bit about your interaction with last year's winner.
It was so much fun. So the day starts out with them, of course, meeting me in my office, and I get to know a little bit about them and their background, and where they live and what high school they go to. And this young man went to West Orange.
Okay.
And so then they sit in on my most senior level staff meeting, and they hear all the conversations.
That's like assigned seating only kind of thing.
That's right.
Meeting
That's
like
right.
that.
Not everyone can be in there, and it's totally unfiltered. I tell my commanders, I say, just talk about what we talk about. We have this young man in here. He wants to learn about the sheriff's office, and he's the sheriff for the day. So last year, there were a lot of discussions going back and forth about crime and about policies, administrative things, uniforms, different weapons that we were testing and using, and there were a couple of different decisions I had to make. So I asked him, I said, how do you think it is being the sheriff? You think it's easy or hard? He goes, oh my gosh, it's hard.
Well, if you're one guy listening to your team ultimately making the final decision for everybody, and I'm sure this high school guy's like, whoa, good exposure, but maybe not something I want to do kind of thing. Maybe I'll work the road. How was that for him to sit? Because I've sat in a few of those, but there are even people who, we talk candidly in results one, there are people who think there's somebody within the agency that aren't privy to even meetings like that. And you've got a high school, was he a senior? Was he a senior?
Yeah.
Hanging out.
Yeah. And so he had a great time. He's able to see what happens at that most senior level. And then, of course, we ate lunch. He did a couple of tours of some of the areas at Ops here. And then the highlight of the day is getting up in the helicopter.
Of course.
So
of course.
It was pretty neat because we were able to take him up to the helicopter. Helicopter took him to his high school, and of course he was able to see his gym class out on the bleachers.
So like everyone looks up,
they knew
and
it was
he's
him.
waving kind of thing.
Yeah, he posted it on social media. He was
awesome.
He was able to contact his mom. We flew over his house and saw where he lived.
You let him show off as sheriff.
She came out and waved, and I think just like everyone, the first time he was in a helicopter, he was a little nervous, but he warmed up to it. So it's just a great experience.
It sounds like it. So this year, what are you looking for from the students? Every year, I've seen the questions change up a little bit, kind of depending on where we are in society, where the agency kind of wants to go. What are your goals? And I saw that you're kind of angling that essay to see what our youth are kind of looking for. So what are we looking for this year from the essay contest?
So, we're just looking for kids who are interested and engaged in law enforcement, who want to see how law enforcement can better interact with our community and do a better job than we already do. And so, our youth, they have a lot of great ideas. So we're looking for that next generation who want to be in law enforcement, who want to be involved in the community and engage in that partnership with law enforcement and the residents.
It blows my mind to see, because you guys have a lot of submissions for this, and last year there were so many. What is do you pick the winner? Are you the ultimate deciding, or do you put it in front of your team and say, find me the sheriff?
So what I do is I put it in front of my team, and then I have them rank the essays and what they think are the top 5 or 10 best essays.
Okay.
And then I pick from there.
All right, so they narrow it down for you a little bit.
Right.
Deadline, it's Friday. This Friday, so today's Wednesday? My days
Today
are
is
all-
Wednesday.
Today is Wednesday, so I don't even know what day of the week it is right now. It's been crazy. So Wednesday, we have one more day tomorrow, and then submissions, final close of business on Friday. When will you announce the winner?
Within a couple weeks, we'll announce the winner. Yeah.
Because I think, October 17th, is that the day that they're
That's
coming?
correct.
They're
Yeah.
coming to
Yeah.
take over with you, kind of thing. What are you most looking forward to? You've had thousands of people ride with you. You've been the chief of police. You've been in these spotlights. When you've got a student coming in who has zero affiliation, no agenda, just submitted to this contest, what are you looking forward to, or what do you look forward to when having this type of youthful person around you?
Well, a few things. I really like to see what their honest impression of law enforcement nationwide is like, and then what they think about the Orange County Sheriff's Office and what we can do to improve, and have them talk about their own experiences with law enforcement, maybe in their own neighborhoods, whether that be good, bad, or indifferent, and how we can learn from that and see what they think we should be out there doing. And that's what community policing is all about. It's talking to the residents, especially our youth, engaging with them, seeing what their ideas are, what they think we should be doing, how we could better prevent crime and make it safer for everyone in our society.
So since you've been sheriff, what do you think the biggest change because each sheriff brings in different things to each agency, because hey, you're bringing in your perspective to things. What would you say the biggest change you've brought to the Orange County Sheriffs has been over the past, you've been sheriff now for quite some time.
Going on 6 years.
6 years, right? With a possible another few more years coming up. So what has been your change? We know you came from Orlando PD. You were our law enforcement figure in some of the most trying times here. What would you see you've brought here to the sheriff's office that you would want someone applying to this to be like, man, I like what's happening here?
Well, there's a lot of things, but I'll focus on a few.
I have as much time as you a lot.
All right. So number one, I think before I came, the sheriff's office did a good job of engaging with the community, but I wanted to take that to the next level, and so that's why you see us doing barbecues. That's why you see us giving away turkeys on Thanksgiving. That's why you see us giving away backpacks and so many other things. That's our brand new gaming trailer right there straight ahead, and where we could pull up in a park or after school, and there's at least 20 big video screens in there.
I've got to meet your team
Yeah.
that operates that.
Yeah.
They're the happiest deputies around.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
Like-
So, and not only engaging with the community, but ramping up what we put out on social media. Have you already seen? So
you guys are all over the place.
we want our community to know that, oh my gosh, they're not only arrested. Look at the bad guys they just arrested. Look at the people who are taken off the street, who are committing crimes in our community. But also, look at all these other things they're doing for our community. Look at the things they're doing for our youth and our schools.
Right.
And another big initiative that we started here after I became sheriff was I saw a lot of national incidents involving people in mental health crisis, in interactions with law enforcement, and many times those interactions ended up in death,
right,
and us having to use deadly force. And I thought, maybe there's a better way. What else could we do? So I started searching around the nation for different ideas and models, and came up with this idea where we would pair a deputy with a mental health clinician.
I remember when you started that. Yeah.
So they have responded now. We have 5 teams of 2. They've responded to over 8,000 calls for service where people were in mental crisis, and they have not used force, and they have not made one arrest. So their job is to go there.
And they're with a deputy, though.
They're with the deputy.
Okay.
So the deputy hasn't had to make an arrest, and we've had to commit some people under the Baker Act, but we're getting them the help that they need. And the beauty about that program is also that this unit will follow up weeks later and say, hey, John, are you taking your medication?
Okay.
How are things going? Do you need help? And then finally, I'll highlight our active assailant training. With all the mass shootings that have happened across the country, we've seen it hit here home in Orange County in Orlando. at the Pulse nightclub, I want to make sure that we were the best prepared that we can be, and that our deputies know in no uncertain terms that they will risk their own lives for our community, even if they're all by themselves.
Right.
They have to end the threat, they have to stop the bad guy, and they have to stop the killing and stop the bleeding, and help save our community. So that training has ramped up. They're doing that every single year. They'll do active shooter training.
It seems to me you've taken things that were a thought, oh, that's a great idea, and then that's all it was, and let's just stop talking about it and do it. The counselor thing has kind of taken a big spread, because a lot of people, after large agencies, yours, even UCF PD, have started to do that. The call volume drops, or at least the arrests drop. And to hear that, I'm glad you said the Baker Act, or the committing of somebody, because sometimes if you didn't have that counselor, that would have been an arrest and committed.
That's correct.
And adding something to somebody that they don't necessarily might not need.
Back when I started, even and when you started, many times those cases would end up in an arrest, and they just fill our jails. They cost more money, and ultimately they're not really helping the person.
But you're not doing anything other than putting them in a room, and they may need to talk some medication or whatnot.
Right. We're basically getting the people who are in crisis the help they need.
How big is that team again that you currently have of the counselors?
With the clinicians, the deputies, we have a couple of intelligence analysts and then supervisors, about 12 people. But each year we have expanded it.
Okay.
We started with 4 and now we're up to 12. So when I have gone to the Board of County Commissioners for increased budget for that unit, they love it, and they keep giving us more funding to increase that unit. So each year that unit will get bigger and bigger.
Is it getting results currently, that unit? Have you been able to see the data and go, okay, what we're doing is working?
I see the data, I hear the stories, I see the body-worn camera videos where we were de-escalating situations. It is by far one of the best programs we've done here, and it's a home run.
It's got to make you proud.
Yeah, it does. It really does. I got a great team.
Like, to watch that, being a cop in news, it's hard for me sometimes to watch and see how things are displayed, because violence doesn't look pretty, crime does not look pretty, and the job of law enforcement is not a pretty job. And I know that you guys not struggle, bad word. You guys do everything you can to soften things, to make them look and appear as easy as they are, to kind of almost make it better on you guys. And I mean that in a very positive way, because no one understands what it's like to put that uniform on unless you've done it. And to be under the microscope constantly, and you guys having to take the initiative to show, look, you may not see it, but we're doing things. That initiative, not everyone's willing to do that, but you guys are doing that here to show, look, you wanted counselors, we've got them. You wanted less lethal approaches, no, we've got them. But at the end of the day, you guys have a job to do. And for me, that's a struggle sometimes, because I don't think everybody understands that.
I mean, a perfect example this weekend, someone who was in crisis actually pulled out a gun and shot 3 times at our deputies. And, we'll release that body-worn camera soon, but those deputies could have easily been struck by gunfire.
Right.
And I'm so very, very proud of them. They did try to de-escalate the situation. They did try to use less lethal means, and a taser and a beanbag shotgun. But when the guy produced a firearm and shot at them,
Totally different story at that point.
They were left no choice but to defend themselves.
I think that's why, and I'm sure somebody from my bosses are watching, but I do enjoy the role I get to play, because it's like people will argue, well, why this, why that? It's like, well, what are they supposed to do at that point? And you're a husband, you're a father, so are the victims of these crimes. In some cases, most of the time, the people committing these crimes, we're all people, and there is no magic wand, and you guys are out there doing everything you can. None of it looks pretty at the end of the day, and it is a struggle, I think, to explain that to the public. And that's why I enjoy having kind of these interviews, because we get to have a moment to, like, look, He's a real person. Yeah, you've got a team to take care of, and you have to protect them, your deputies as well, in these situations. Because if not, it'd be a mess out here.
Yeah, and I think the important thing, like you said, Steve, is that we're human. We all have families, and certainly, just like the rest of the human race, we're not perfect. We make mistakes. The difference is, our mistakes can be very critical. They can be deadly. So That's why we have to have the best training. We have to have the best equipment, and we have to constantly adapt and change our policies to make sure that we are the best of the best.
I love it. What is the future for anybody watching that may submit or interested in the Sheriff's Office? What's the future of the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
Oh, it just keeps getting bigger and better. So we're going to, as Orange County grows, we're going to increase the size of this agency. We're always going to be looking for new technology, and we're going to increase units like the behavioral response unit, where deputies will be riding around with a mental health clinician to help people in crisis.
So it's just growing nonstop.
It is. We're going to continue to attack violent crime. There's still bad people out there who want to commit crime, and we're going to put them in jail. I'm very proud of our homicide unit. They have like a 78% clearance rate. So
that's big.
You commit a homicide in Orange County, you're going to get caught.
You guys are going to find them. This building has been around for a long time. You guys ever going to get a new headquarters building, you think? Or is this one here to stay for quite some time?
This one will be here.
I always like asking one of those questions.
Yeah,
to me, that's the interesting.
If you didn't know, this used to be a Montgomery Ward.
Yes.
Obviously it had been renovated. There's renovations always going on inside. Now, will it expand out here someday?
Possibly.
Yeah, that's definitely. We are looking to expand and maybe purchase some of this property here.
Good idea.
And this way we can keep adding. But yeah, it keeps getting bigger and bigger.
It's crazy because I remember it was 2008, and I had just started getting interested in civilian law enforcement, and at that time, everyone was frozen. Like, I applied here twice. Nothing.
Right.
I applied to OPD. Nothing. Who calls me? FHP. And I'm like, of course you guys are hiring, because back then it was pennies to the dollar. But now, hey, my troopers are pretty competitive right now. But I remember seeing this building all the time. I've got pictures out here. So, Sheriff, as I bring you back to your headquarters, what, to the students out there that might be watching, and we're going to talk to them, any parting words before they submit that application, this essay contest, or interested in a career in policing?
I would say, good luck. Make sure your essay is going to be one of the best, because I'm telling you, you want to spend a day with the Sheriff of Orange County, because you're going to have so much fun. You're going to learn so much about the Orange County Sheriff's Office. I'm going to personally take you up in a helicopter and fly to your house or your apartment, so you can see what it looks like from a couple thousand feet in the air, and it's going to be fun.
And if you guys are questioning this whole thing, I have yet to be up in the Orange County Sheriff helicopter. Nudge, nudge, hint, hint. But I've been up in a few locally. I've gotten some deep dives into headquarters building, and it's more than just a pretty cop car. You go into these buildings and you're just like, wait, what is happening here? It's its own city. So hop over to clickorlando.com. We've got the application there. OCSO has it on their website also. Faith and Badges has had it blasted everywhere, making sure that you have an opportunity. Remember, it's about freshman through senior on community policing, how you want to see law enforcement interact with the community here. And then get to hang out with this guy. Listen, there's not a lot of people rocking stars on their collar around here. And when you're the top cop in the county, you got a lot of perks. And hanging out with him, good stuff. So head on over to clickorlando.com. Check it out. Sheriff, I appreciate you, sir.
All right, Steve.
I'm going to wrap this up real quick. Let me turn it around so we're not sitting on camera the whole time. Appreciate you guys. Drive safe. Wear your seatbelts. Have a good day.